My great-grandfather was a performer. They called him Chicken Charlie. His name was Wally, but he didn't want to be called Wally, so he gave that as a stage name, in quotes, and he was known everywhere as Chicken Charlie. He liked to dance, he liked to sing, he liked to act, but he did all of these things because he didn't want to be in the field in the hot sun. And so when his owner, he was a slave, and when his owner found out he could do all of these things, then he used to pull him into his parties. My father was the minister of a church in Greensboro, North Carolina, and we as children had to get up at 5 in the morning, and Mom got us together with all kinds of fun things in the car, and we drove. It was a T-model Ford. My brothers drove, and we drove the 50 miles to Greensboro, North Carolina. We had to have bricks that Mom had heated, because at that time they didn't have heaters in a car. And we used to drive over to Greensboro, North Carolina, to Daddy's church. And we, of course, had to be on the front seats for the service. They had 2 services a day, and we had to be on the front seats, and we had to behave ourselves and sit there like little princesses, as my father had a way of calling us. He said, "You're my little princess." And following the service, we'd all go out to dinner, which was an exciting time for us because we just had fun, fun, fun. We sang songs, we recited, we just had a good family time. My mother, her name, of course, was Maisonetta. She was a teacher, and she gave up that when the children started and opened a small grocery store, which later grew and grew because my father, who was a minister, a Lutheran minister, his name was Wally Hezekiah Lash. And then when my brothers were born, my brother Wally, my brother John, my brother Trogett. After finishing college, each one took a store, and they, of course, became businessmen. My brother Wally later became the first black mayor in Salisbury, North Carolina. And this is his daughter, Elaine, my brother John's wife, Dora, my brother Trogett's wife, Nan, and this is their grandmother, and my father, my mother, that of course is me, my brother-in-law, and another brother-in-law, and that's Sam, and this is Bob, my sister Olga, my niece Sylvia, a cousin Evelyn, and my niece Adrian. We were all sort of young. After we were grown, we used to go home every Christmas in order to be with the family. And all family members tried to be there in order to have a very wonderful Christmas. Bennett College for Women in Greensboro, Carolina. While I was there, I became a member of the Bennett Quartet. We traveled all over the country in order to raise funds for the college. It was an honor, and I was pleased at first, and then I began to miss all of the activities that we had on campus. I later enrolled in Livingston, North Carolina, where I began to sing again, and I sang in the choir, the college choir. I played basketball, finished college, and then I went to New York to take graduate work. My husband, Charles Williams, and he was the principal at Grant School, and I here have just entered politics. We had a son, Chuck Williams, and I didn't want to be away from him, and I just took a part-time job and later became executive secretary to Congressman Howell as my son was then entering the first grade. I worked with Congressman Howell for quite some time, and later on, after leaving his staff, I entered the public school system, became a second grade teacher, and I worked there as a second grade teacher for 4 or 5 years. I was later pulled from the classroom and became a reading coordinator. I was later on selected by the State Department to go to Africa, to Monrovia and Ghana, to hold workshops for the teachers in the American schools there. And we discussed ways and means of teaching all of the skills, or many of the skills, reading skills for the children who were there. It was quite an experience, one that I thoroughly enjoyed, and I hope they enjoyed me. I felt they did. When it was time, after the second summer, they presented me with 2 marvelous statues, African statues, which I now have in my home. And I think they are 2 of the most valuable pieces I have there. I love to take on new things. I like to travel. I like to meet new people. I like to think in terms of the whole world as a place where I can go and meet different people, different nationalities. I like very much to listen to what people have to say. I learn a great deal when I'm listening. I learn about their way of life, what their values are. So although we are of different races, we really all have much in common. And that's the thing I should think we would dwell on. Greatest joy of my life, I think, is when I became a mother. I always wanted to be a mother. And when my precious son was born, I was just walking on air, and I have been so thrilled to be a mother, and he has been so accepted. He's just made life very, very pleasant for me and worth living. He is my pride and joy. Chuck has a lovely, lovely wife whose name is Barbara, and I simply adore her. She is wonderful to me, and she and Chuck certainly add so much pleasure, so much joy, so much happiness to my life. And I feel that one of the reasons why I have lived so long and hope to live a few years longer anyway is because of the love and the service and the attention that these 2 give me every single day. Well, I'm surprised that I have lived so long, yet I'm very thrilled because I belong to a family, a supportive family, a family that shows their love and affection, and they've always been encouraging. I think that if we use every experience, those that are not so good and those that are good, it will improve our lives. It will help us to be healthy and so happy, so that I feel that longevity is a gift. it's a gift because of the way we accept life as it comes to us. I do feel that we can not give up. We can always have hope. We can always feel that tomorrow will be a brighter day if today is not that good for us.